Hello and welcome to Pride and Honor. Pride and Honor is a game developed by me. It's a single level that I've made for my FMP. It centers around two words, conspiracy and cottagecore. The game follows a story of a young man trying to find where his father is. In the level that I produced, by this point in the narrative, the boy has already figured out where the father is and has entered the residence of which his father is now located. From there, he has to solve puzzles to reach down to the cellar. From the cellar, he will hear what was in plan, his father's voice, and find that his father is now a terrorist working for a white nationalist organisation. However, due to changes later on because of a lack of time, I had to remove this part of the narrative and also the mechanics. In the game, you start off in the hallway. In the hallway, you'll be able to walk around, you'll be able to sprint, crouch. All the player knows through looking at the screen, you will be able to see text that says Q for controls, and in there the player will be able to see the new mechanics, the things that they can do in the level, which includes interacting with E, restarting the level with R, F the top of the flashlight, escape to leave the level, shift to sprint, and control to crouch. There are multiple doors within the level. In the living room, the player will find a couple items: a flashlight, a key, an ottoman, a television, all of which can be interacted with, the rest of the models being visual. The player will first access the torch, and I'll turn off all the lights, then they'll find the key and look at the television and access it. From there, we'll listen to a speech given by the group's leader, which will talk about how they are planning to commit a terrorist act in a shopping mall. From there, the players will go to the next room, which was supposed to be the kitchen, but now is more of a storage room because of lack of time to develop the models and texture the models. In the living room especially, there was meant to be a remote which you could have found inside the dresser, however I did not have time to do that. When the players entered now all the groups storage contains multiple propaganda posters and tables and stools and such, because I didn't have time to develop more of a variety of different meshes. They see a lever. The lever mechanic operates by pulling the lever, which turns back on the lights and gives the player access to the next door. The player can switch on all lights and switch off all lights using this lever. When the player enters the bathroom, they'll see that it's in great disrepair, toilets being dirty, rusted walls, and they'll see a door which they cannot enter on, and on the side they'll see a keypad. The keypad, however, is untextured, and that is because of a lack of time. A common issue with this project is a lack of time, because I had to focus on making the mechanics rather than texturing and modelling. That is the reason why the models look kind of basic. The player has multiple options when entering into the keypad. They can either click OK, which will give them an incorrect code. They can click numbers, click on buttons. The player can clear out all the numbers, and if the player inputs the correct code, they can access the door to open and close it. From there, the player will descend down the tunnel of the cellar. There was meant to be a cellar vault as part of another puzzle, but I didn't have time to develop that. When the player enters down, they'll see multiple signs of previous propaganda posters and previous models such as tables and the painting frames. When the player sees the tunnel, they'll crouch and they'll go through the maze. The maze essentially is the second part of the level. It's quite different as there's no objective other than to just reach the end. Originally I was going to have an AI mechanic which was just going to be the father chasing the player down into the tunnel if the player gets detected by the father. However, that wasn't implemented due to a lack of time. When the player goes the wrong end, they'll have a title screen which shows that they died, and they can restart the level all over again or exit the level. When the player goes the correct path, they'll reach the end, which will show up as you escaping. One issue with this being the player won't know which way is the correct way, and this was a common problem when people were playtesting it and were giving me feedback. A way which I solved this was by having a sound implemented into the game as a blueprint, so that when the player goes the correct way, a sound will play. eventually the player will realise that this is the correct path and reach the end. There was a lot of challenges when developing this level, such as multiple times the television mechanic not working as the videos wouldn't play, other features being that doors would not open the correct way, the flashlight would change colours, that's a major thing being that sprint mechanic, it was never fixed, and that the lever mechanic, its network interface was difficult to blueprint, without assistance of tutorials I've linked.